Hello everyone. I am Anisa, and in this video I'll talk about Carl Schmitt's book, The Concept of the Political, and, in particular, the preface to the book, aspects of the new discussion around Carl Schmitt. But first of all, who is Carl Schmitt? Carl Schmitt, German conservative jurist and political theorist, best known for his critique of liberalism. His definition of politics is based on the distinction between friends and enemies, and his overt support of Nazism. Schmitt considers the political more important than any other domain, such as the economy, because it is the most fundamental to identity. As was previously mentioned, Schmitt's conceptual realm of state sovereignty and autonomy bases itself on the contrast between friend and adversary. As Schmitt says, the political enemy need not be morally evil or aesthetically ugly. But he is, nevertheless, the other, the stranger. The relation between liberalism and democracy. Schmitt's concept of political is in opposition to his concept of political romanticism. Political romanticism is the doctrine of an autonomous, isolated and solitary individual whose absolute position towards himself creates a world in which nothing is connected to anything else. Thus, political romanticism underlies what Schmitt sees as a liberal tendency to replace the political with endless discussions. For Schmitt, this is a given quality of political. What upsets him is that the historical combination of liberalism and democracy has obscured this concept. So we risk losing the experience of the political. The relation between politics and ethics. According to Schmitt, this distinction is fundamental to understanding the nature of politics and is inherently amoral. Schmitt believed that ethics and morality have little relevance in the political realm, where the primary concern is the preservation of one's own group or state against its enemies. He viewed political decisions as based on the concrete situation and the perceived threat to one's own existence or identity, rather than abstract ethical principles. In essence, Schmitt's perspective suggests that politics operates in a realm distinct from ethics, with its own rules and imperatives shaped by the dynamics of power and conflict. Legitimation and enemies. In the concept of the political, Schmitt identifies as the high points of politics, those moments in which the enemy is, in concrete clarity, recognized as the enemy. He suggests that this is true both theoretically and in practice. Schmitt insists in his discussion of the friend-enemy distinction on the public nature of the categories. It is not my enemy but our enemy. That is, enemy is a political concept. Here Schmitt enlists the public quality to politics in order to prevent a universalism which he thinks extremely dangerous. The argument goes like this. Resistance to or the refusal to accept the fact that one's rational action has limitations determined by the quality of the identity of one's group leads to two possible outcomes. The first is that one assumes one shares with others universal qualities which must then, naturally, engender an ultimate convergence of interests attainable through negotiation and compromise. Here events are most likely not only to prove one wrong but to destroy a group that acts on such a false belief. This is the case with the doomed Russian classes and the aristocratic society of France. The other, more dangerous possibility is that one will claim to speak in the name of universal humanity. In such a case, all those by whom one is opposed must perforce be seen as speaking against humanity and hence can only merit to be exterminated. Schmitt and Nazism. Schmitt never joined the Nazi Party, but he expressed support for certain aspects of Nazi ideology. Schmitt's ideas, especially his concept of the political, which emphasized the importance of decisive action and the identification of enemies, and his criticism of liberal democracy and propaganda of an authoritarian state were consistent with Nazi principles. During the early years of the Nazi regime, Schmitt held several official positions. He was the author of legal opinions that legitimized some of the regime's actions, such as the dismissal of Jews and politically undesirable persons from public service. However, over time, Schmitt's relationship with Nazism became strained, especially after he fell out of favor with the regime due to personal and professional differences. He was eventually dismissed from his posts and faced criticism from Nazi officials. After World War II, Schmitt was briefly detained. Despite his connection with the regime, he continued to write a lot. Liberals are horrified at Schmitt because he offends against one of the deepest premises of liberalism. Politics is necessary but should not become too serious.